What's going on, everybody? How are you this evening or today? It's Lawrence from financialthing.com. It's Tuesday evening. We have a special. Let me turn the mic up a little bit. Tuesday evening stocks cryptocurrency stream. We're going to be looking at the Trading 212 portfolio, see what's going on with the positions in oil. And we're going to take a more in-depth look at a couple of the stocks that are in the portfolio and why I think they are good bets for the long run. What's going on with the oil situation, the prices. We're going to take a look at some cryptocurrency news. We've got some definite movements in the markets in the last week. Finally, Bitcoin is starting to wake up, and why is that happening? What's going on in the crypto markets? What we're seeing happening in the general landscape of specifically regulation in the US, which I think is a very important leader in what's going to happen in the cryptocurrency in the first world markets like the UK, probably other first world markets too. So yeah, so we got some comments out there from Miss Janet Yellen, head of the SEC, and yeah, there's a lot of different things. Oh, and also I had an email this week from a complete novice when it comes to investing, and this person was quite worried that they hadn't started investing. They were coming up on 31, 32 years old, and had a question as how can they get to £100,000 in investing, and how long is that going to take them? So I thought, it'd be fun to plug that into the calculator and see how this person could do that. Hopefully they'll be watching this live, or if not in the future, we'll give them a little bit of advice, and well, not financial advice, of course, just a little bit of guidance on how that's really not as daunting as it may seem. That was a goal for this person to get to £100,000, which is about 130,000 US dollars for all our American friends out there. Yeah, so we'll plug that into the calculator and see how they can do that. So again, thank you to everybody who is tuning in live, and thank you to everybody in the future that's going to watch this, and I hope you get a lot of value and enjoyment out of it. And then we'll be back on Thursday with the peer-to-peer lending stream, and then April 7th, a week from Thursday, we got Stuart Law, the founder of Assets Capital, is going to be live on the stream. We're going to be talking about peer-to-peer lending, what's going on with Assets Capital. Always get a lot of insight from him, so yeah, it should be a good stream. A quick hi to everybody. Peter's here in Leatherhead. Mike is here. Mike Powell, Paul New, Stockport, Colin Perry in the Peak District, Paul Bagworth, AccuChap, of course, in Accrington, representing the Bitcoin, Stephen Hale in Chilling, Nottingham, Brian in Woburn, and Mark Mason. So yes, let's get right into it. We got a lot to get through. I want to try to make this half an hour, 40 minutes today, get in and out, and get all the information into your hands as soon as possible without delay. So let's go ahead and pull this up. That is the Financial Thing website. If you haven't been to the site recently, go check that out. We have a LendWise Q&A. We had LendWise on the stream last Thursday doing a Q&A session with Rishi. That was great. So check that out if you haven't already. We're going to take a look at the Brent crude oil first to begin. It's been a pretty volatile day. We've seen, let's pull up the day chart. So we saw this kind of drop off today down here, almost heading towards 100 US dollars for Brent crude, and then bouncing back all the way up to 108. Actually, 111 was the high. It was a pretty big volatile day. We've seen some things in the news about Russia, people pulling back on the Russian oil imports. I know it's happening in the U.S., but the U.S. isn't very reliant anyways on Russian oil. More European reliance on that. But these prices have definitely made the oil stocks move, which hence has had a impact on the Trading 212 portfolio, which when I checked earlier today was actually under 16,000, and then has sort of turned around a little bit. And I did see this portfolio up around here, 17,700. We had a big run in the last couple of days, and then sort of a pullback yesterday. Just kind of taking a look at some of the stock positions. I did deploy the rest of the cash into the portfolio. So right now you can see there are £0 available to invest. What did I do with that money? Let me show you here in the history. This happened on the 23rd. So about 6 days ago, I decided that it was a good time to put the money that was sitting in cash back into the portfolio. And you can see here it went into Synovus, Centrus Energy, which I actually made a mistake. I meant to put it into Crescent Point Energy, which I didn't have in the portfolio, and I bought Centrus by accident and I ended up selling it the same day, which Turned out to be a mistake because, let me show you why. Today, Centrus is up 8.46%. So that little snafu ended up being a little bit costly, but you know what? That's just the way it is. Sometimes you make mistakes. We're only human. But yeah, we kind of spread that money around. Synovus, that's CVE for anybody following along with the ticker symbols. And then Diamondback, Flex, Diamondback and Flex Energy got the rest of that money into the portfolio. So right now sitting at 17,309. I fully expect the oil, these oil stocks are going to go a lot higher. When profits get reported and earnings get reported in the next upcoming months, we're going to see those stock prices, I think, go up again. Not financial advice. Now, another thing about the portfolio, we've seen these crypto mining stocks make a comeback since cryptocurrency has also been waking up finally. And if we look at the 1 month chart here, we were as down low as $9 on CleanSpark, which has come all the way back up to 13. And this is what happens with these mining stocks. As cryptocurrency goes up, the miners become more profitable, and as it goes down, those stocks tend to retract. But we're only 10% away from breaking even now on CleanSpark. Hut 8, a little bit worse. Down here, 19% in the red still, but you can see this one has come back from $4 up to $4.60 up to $6.13. Definitely not dumping any more into Hut 8 at the moment or CleanSpark, but we're just going to sit on them and see how they do probably for the next year. But as you can see, the real winners have been in the gold. Again, Barrick Gold, just timing on that. And then we got this pretty big position in Laredo that was actually in the negative. Just in the last week, this thing was at $72 and has bounced all the way. It went all the way up here, this high point to 80. So that's a nice little move, about 13%. And then it's had a little bit of a pullback. You can see here, this drop off when we had the correction down to 76 and then back up to 79. So I think we've had about a 13 or 14% swing on Laredo on that 4,000 pound position. But you can see Occidental has really continued to do well. A little bit in the red today. Well, actually, sorry, 7% in the red last week, but we're still, way up in the green on that. Palantir continues to struggle, but long term I think that's going to be fine, even though we are 42% down. It's quite a big hit. And then Vermilion VET, which has continued again, sort of struggled a little bit in the last month, minus 2% in the last week, sorry. But in the last 3 months we're up almost 60%. And we're going to take a look at Vermilion, an article I found, show a little bit of information about what's going on with that stock. But overall, again, how can you complain? The portfolio continues to be pretty good, considering it was started at 5,500 pounds. How can anybody complain about that? So let's take a look at some of these stocks that are in the Trading 212 portfolio and how they really performed. So we've got VET, Vermilion, LPI, Laredo, Oxy, Flex LNG, that's liquid natural gas, which is, we've seen a lot of things in the news about natural gas recently. Diamondback Energy and Synovus CVE. You can see here they're relatively small market cap companies, especially LPI, which is only a $1.37 billion market cap company, which in oil and petroleum is pretty small in the grand scale of things if you compare it to Oxy, which is 53 times as big, especially compared to things like Exxon, Shell, BP. Very, very small. So we consider this a small cap, pretty risky. But you can see some of the quant ratings down here. This is on Seek Alpha. That would indicate strong buys. And I don't always trust these ratings, but it's nice to see that these ratings are showing buys on everything but, actually everything is pretty much a buy at the moment, except for the quant on Occidental is a hold, which, by the way, Warren Buffett has picked up in the last couple of months. You can see in the sector rank, VET 2 out of 252, so that's holding well up there. You know, some of the interesting things about these stocks, if you look at the returns, the total returns, very, very different results depending. Obviously, market timing is everything on these stocks. Depending when you get in, you can have very different results. But we've seen some pretty big 6-month returns on VET of 137%. LPI on this 6 months, not as good. Again, market timing is usually dependent. But 3 months up 22%. And then Oxy, one of the stronger ones. Look at this. 1 month, 29.8% in the black. Flange, 6 months. I call it flange. It's actually FL, natural gas, liquid natural gas. Liquefied natural gas, 29.63% for the last 3 months and 69.57% in the last 6 months. So the returns on these stocks, except for LPI, of course, where we had the bigger position, has been generally very good. But then if you look at the 1 year returns, LPI has been very strong at 164%, VET 187%, FLNG 243%. I mean, they've all performed really, really strongly. You don't want to look at these 10-year returns because we've had some rough times in the oil in the past, and this is why trading or buying these types of sector stocks, you really have to be careful because, you know, sometimes they can not do well over the long period of time. If oil's low, these stocks are going to perform poorly. If we look at the dividends on all 6 of them, not really much in the way of dividends except the FLNG, which has a massive dividend of over 10.74%. So not only do you get hopefully the upside of the stock performing well, you see 22.63% over the last 3 months, you also get a 10.74% dividend yield, which is actually running at 8.52% now. So a good dividend yield on that stock. But again, you do have to be careful. You know, there is a certain amount of risk involved. This is a very small company with a pretty decent market cap. But, you know, price to earnings is what we look at here too. 9.08 on the price to earnings. So really, really, I think a value stock at the moment with those price to earnings. Let's see what else. Yeah, you can see here the valuations if you go on the price to earnings right here. I mean, they're just really reasonable. If you compare these to sort of the tech stocks, you're just not going to see any price to earnings anywhere in this range. You can look at LPI right here. It's 2.93 price to earnings ratio, which is, you know, one of the reasons why I went in pretty heavy on LPI is I think the price to earnings just makes it a really good discounted buy. What else can I show you? These are just kind of basic numbers that we look at. Gross profit margins are pretty high. CV a little bit lower. CV, by the way, a Canadian company. So interest in Canada because I don't think they're as susceptible to some of the things that might change within the US's market. I think Canada is a little bit more protected, and you might see more of an upside because you haven't seen as much of an upside on these Canadian stocks as in some of the other stocks maybe that are located in the US and Europe. But yeah, gross profit margins are good on 5 of them. And yeah, they've just performed really well at the moment. Another thing I like is you don't have a lot of short interest on most of these stocks. LPI is a little bit higher short interest, 13%, but this means that these are short sellers who are betting that the stock prices are going to go down. So if you look at only a 4.37% short interest on VET, some other stocks you might see much, much higher than this, which means that people really think these stocks are designed to go backwards. And this kind of information is showing us that that is not the case, especially with Synovus here at 0.56% short interest. So yeah, looking pretty good. Pretty decent sized revenues too, especially CV. Look at this, 36.66 billion in revenue. That's pretty crazy. Some big numbers there. So there's an article that came out also on Seeking Alpha. It's the top 3 value energy stocks to buy. This was back in March 9th. And they've identified this article, which is cool because it has some of the stocks we have in the portfolio. Vermilion Energy was number 1. VET says there's a share price under $25, which I think we're running at. What is VET right now? 22 something? Oh, no, yeah, $20.84. So this article is saying at under $25, Vermilion is a great pick. Its forward price to earnings ratio of just 5.49 times is trading 50% below the industry sector, which means it's a significant discount to its peers. And then Vermilion is a great position to capitalize on rising oil prices and is a key asset for revenues tied to importers looking for oil exploration and production for nations outside of Russia and the Ukraine. Forward EBITDA growth is at 50%. What does that mean? Earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, amortization. So that's a good sign. And it's got a pretty decent amount of cash that it's sitting on. So I like that as far as the numbers go on that. They've got cash from operations. They're sitting on $567 million US with plans to pay down debt. And then number 2 on this article, Crescent Point Energy. That's the Canadian energy company that produces oil and natural gas in Western Canada. It's trading, and this was in March 9th, nearly 30% below its sector with a forward price to earnings ratio of a very, very reasonable 7.95 times. They've got, let's see, latest Q4 earnings that would have been from Q4 of 2021 resulted in revenue of $710 million, which was beating the estimates by $90 million. And they will fully repay $670 million of debt from an acquisition that they took on recently, Kbob, which is a gas region in Canada. And they're sitting on, back in March 9th, $1.18 billion in cash. So it's a very bullish article on two of the stocks that we hold and have been holding way before that article came out. We've been holding BET now for a while. Honestly, I don't remember when we actually started buying that. Let's have a look. I think we've held it in the portfolio for several months. Where's the history? Let's take a look. Yeah, so we started buying this in the 20th of September 2021. This was the first real trade, was £186 when it was priced at just $7.26. Then we bought more at $7.25 and more so at $7.25, and then a month later $8.98. So you can see the price has really taken off on VET since we got in September 2021. So that's definitely been a good one. So yeah, the question that I had again about how to accumulate £100,000 in stock. How long is that roughly going to take? This gentleman that emailed me, I thought we'd take a look and see how the US Equity Index Fund is doing. And there's 2 real ways that I told him my thoughts on how to do this for him. It'd be number 1, if you wanted to take a lot of risk, try to get the £100,000 in stocks quicker, which I don't personally recommend anybody do unless they are very comfortable with that type of risk, is to put it all into one stock. Just keep buying one stock, that you believe in, and you believe in the company that has good growth, company, for instance, like you talk about stock growth would be a company like Tesla, which has done, big things in the markets, especially from 2020 and onwards. If we look at the chart here, you can see it's had a pretty big jump up. So, he's a Tesla fan. This person that emailed me actually owns a Tesla. And I said, well, one of the ways you could do it is to put it into Tesla. If we imagine that possibly Tesla might have a growth of 20%. I mean, there's people that think 40% a year for Tesla's stock is going to be what the stock does. I'm thinking that might be a little bit high, but I could see it doing 18 to 20% a year. So I said to him, if you put all your money in the Tesla stock, take that risk, you're going to get to your 100 grand quickly. Now, what I would tell most people to do is just bang it into a US index equity tracker or a global tracker. I think global, again, has been really underperforming. I think I want to say over the last couple of years, 20% underperforming the US index equity tracker. But I think a tracker is probably the best option for nearly everybody out there. So let's go ahead and look at the prices of the index tracker in Vanguard, the US equity index tracker, which the last price was £766 and 28p. I wanted to take a look a year ago, so if we went year to year, you can see here the price a year ago, the 29th of March, so a little bit less than a year, £644 and 97 pence. So put that in the interest calculator here, and you can see the interest calculated increase is actually 18.8%. So we've had an 18.8% increase on the US index tracker over the last year. Of course, that's probably not going to be the norm. That's a very high return. We've been in this bull market, so if we go off of averages and look at maybe an 11% return on something like that index tracker over a very long period of time, maybe 10 to 20 years, that would be very reasonable. So we look at the calculator here. What I did was sent him this information to say if you put in £500 as an initial balance, we work off 11% a year for 10 years with a £500 monthly contribution, you're going to hit that £106,000 mark after about 10 years. So £500 in a month, just buying that index tracker, the Vanguard US index tracker, you're going to get there in 10 years. So not bad. I mean, £500 a month is very doable for anybody. If we put that up to 20 years, we're going to see an even better result. Obviously, longer, 408,000. So almost 4 times as much for 10 years longer. 3 times as much, something like that. 4 times as much. Yeah, a lot more, 300 grand more over 10 years, just to add an extra 10 years of £500 a month. So that's what I would predict the index tracker would give to him. Now, if we started putting a little bit more away, £1,000 a month for 10 years, you're looking at £213,000 for a 10-year contribution. So you're going to get there, I told him, on year 6. So you're knocking 4 years off that. If you can double your contribution to £1,000 a month, not everybody can do that. That's why we start with the 500 as a reasonable amount at 11%. So that's what I think the index tracker will provide. Now, if you were to do that on an individual stock that you believed in, like maybe possibly Tesla or one of the tech stocks that you really have commitment to, you put in £500, and I put a more reasonable expectation, say for example on Tesla, maybe 18% average growth over a 10-year period, which again is high. It's high risk. £500 a month. He's going to get to his £100,000 about 2 years quicker. So is the 2 years quicker worth that kind of risk? Because you are taking on a much more higher considerable risk. I personally don't think so. But what might be a good idea is if you're a big believer in a certain stock, split it up, do maybe half and half or 60-40, whatever you're comfortable with, just trying to get to that point. But after year 10, he's going to have 155,000 pounds, putting away 500 pounds a month into that possibly single stock if it performs the way we think. 1,000 pounds, now you're talking about bigger numbers here. That's going to get you to your 100,000 pound mark in about 5.2, 5.3 years. So you can see here, year 5, ending balance 95,220 pounds, and then here, year 10, 310,775 pounds. So that's with your 1,000 pounds a month for 10 years. If you can hold out, do it for 20, which he should be able to because he's in his 30s. Now you're going to see this number just get really big, 1.9 million pounds. Because you got that extra time. Here's year 5 at your 95,000. You just keep it going, let it compound, put more in when you can. Your 1,000 pounds a month. You just see these numbers really start to take off here around year 13 at 557,000. Let's see. Year 13, 557,000. Then it hits over $1 million at year 17, and by year 20, you're just a tad under 20 million pounds. And it's a big number, and again, definitely some considerable risk there. But some people are okay taking that risk, whereas me, I don't have that much risk tolerance to do that. Let's go ahead and take a look at the crypto markets. Here, what the hell is going on with Bitcoin? Why is it suddenly woken up? I'm going to tell you why. We're at 47,283 US dollars. We've gone up 10% in the last week. You can see here, price action was down at 42,000 in the last month. We have come down from 37,000 and up to 43, and then pop back down again, and then we've seen this continuous rise. We did breach over 48,000. This chart is a little bit inaccurate, but it did go over 48,000 briefly, and then we had a bit of a pullback down to 47,128. So generally, I mean, the overall the cryptocurrency markets are doing well. We can see the market cap now $2.1 trillion. Bitcoin's dominance still about 42%. We have now over 18,546 cryptocurrencies out there. I don't recommend you look at most of those. Nearly all of them are absolute poo. But we look at the ones on the top 10. What's going on? Why is this price action happening? Well, one of the big pieces of news that we've had is because of this coin here, Terra Luna, which has a stable coin called UST, and the founder of Terra Luna is backing UST. Let me see if I can pull this up for you. Right here. This is a $1 stable coin where it's pegged to the price of the US dollar, so it stays at pretty much close to about $1. And this stable coin has been backed by Bitcoin. The founder of, I think his name is Do Kwon, but he has been buying immense amounts of Bitcoin that is going to be held on Luna's treasury, and it will be used to stabilize and as collateral for this Terra USD stablecoin, which, by the way, has a market cap of $16.2 billion. So it's a sizable coin. It's really been growing a lot. And of course, with this immense amount of buying, I believe they've been buying $150 million a day of Bitcoin for Luna's treasury, which is obviously going to impact the price of Bitcoin. So they now have over $1 billion of Bitcoin on their books to secure this Terra UST coin, which is ranked, it's the 14th largest cryptocurrency now that exists. So it's a pretty big, it's a pretty big news that happened over the last couple of weeks, and it really made the the markets move. You can see here, this is the news story. Luna Foundation's Bitcoin reserve wallet now holds 1.1 billion in Bitcoin, and they will continue to buy. They have 24,954 Bitcoins, and I still believe they're buying 150 US dollars a day. You can see the actual wallet here. This is the beautiful thing about the blockchain. This is all of this is verifiable. This is the Luna Foundation's Bitcoin wallet right here, and they have 1.1 billion dollars of USD in the form of Bitcoin. So 24,954 Bitcoin in this wallet, and they will continue to increase that, I believe. So they are planning on backing this UST coin with Bitcoin, and this is really affecting the way that the price is moving on Bitcoin this week, because it brings more legitimacy, more stability to the Bitcoin price, and also demand and supply. As Bitcoin is scooped up $1 billion worth, obviously the price will go up. We are seeing some scarcity going on with Bitcoin. Again, we believe there is just not that much out there to buy anymore. In fact, there was a news story I was reading earlier which was saying a guy who was trying to buy a large amount of Bitcoin was having trouble. What they tend to do is either go to a broker or go straight to a platform like Coinbase. They have a special department which handles large trades, and they just don't have that much on the platform in order to sell people that want to buy a lot. So we're seeing some scarcity going on there with Bitcoin, and this is going to continue happening. You see 90% of the supply is already out there right now. We're broaching that 19 million mark on the supply, so over 21 million max supply. And once these coins are all into circulation, it's just going to be more difficult to buy. So there is legitimacy coming into the market. We've got a couple of news stories I think are important. ExxonMobil, the top oil and gas producer in the US, is piloting a project to mine Bitcoin in North Dakota. They've been working on it for over a year. What they're doing is diverting natural gas that would otherwise be burned off into generators, and then the gas is converted into electricity, which is used to power shipping containers full of thousands of Bitcoin miners. They haven't really been talking much about this project, but instead of the gas getting burned into the air, so if you ever drive by an oil field, sometimes you'll see flames coming out of I think, what do they call them, those towers? So this is just gas that's getting burnt off into the air. It's basically wasted energy. So what they're doing is they are using this energy to actually mine Bitcoin, which I think is pretty cool. They're also talking about doing this in Alaska, Nigeria, Argentina, Guyana, and Germany. The problem, Exxon and Conoco, that's another oil company very big in the US, the problem they are addressing has existed for years, which is when drillers accidentally hit a natural gas formation and that gas starts to get released. Unlike oil, which can be trucked out to a remote destination, gas delivery requires a pipeline. If a drilling site is close to a pipeline, that's not a problem. But if the pipe is full or if the gas is 20 miles away, drillers often burn it off, and that's why you typically see flames rising from the oil fields. Enter Bitcoin mining, which only requires an internet connection and can be done from anywhere. So what they're doing is they're moving these shipping containers when they need to, and then using that what otherwise would be wasted gas energy and then mining Bitcoin. So I think that's a pretty cool thing that Exxon, I think they used to be Esso in the UK, if I remember, with the Tiger, I remember. But they're doing that, and I think that's very, very positive news. What else? Yeah, we talk about the energy usage, this whole narrative about Bitcoin's energy and how it's terrible for the world. So here was a World Economic Forum post that was reposted. This was from 2017. They posted in December, and it said, in 2020, Bitcoin will consume more power than the world does today. This was the World Economic Forum. So it just goes to show you how far off that was. We can see here, this is the actual real truth. Global Bitcoin mining consumes only 0.14% of the world energy production. And then you can see here the total energy generated online worldwide is 154,000 terawatts per hour, and only 220 of that is from Bitcoin mining. So a lot of narrative about energy, again, always comes up, how Bitcoin's bad for the environment, but the real truth is it's really about control. The people don't like the Bitcoins. It's not the energy that's the problem. If it was the energy, then we should probably just stop driving cars and taking airplanes to go on holiday. It's just really narrative out there that gets overly played. And for anybody, here's an interesting tweet I found from 2018. This is kind of showing where we are, and this was from 2018, it's 4 years ago. And I'll put this in the links too in the description so you can see all of this information. But it said in 2018, we are here. And just below it was a point of proving that the Bitcoin system is hard to change and thus reliable, reducing anxiety and perceived protocol risk. And then the next step was greater perceived safety, greater education and understanding, and greater decentralization, until we get to this point up here, which is a reliable store of value. Now this, again, 4 years ago. I think right now we are probably a couple of squares above this star. So right here, greater education and understanding, heading towards this reliable store of value. And some of these things I don't know necessarily that will occur, like widespread medium of an exchange. I think the store of value narrative will remain its main course. And then full global money up here might come in a different way or a different form of Bitcoin. Could be through the Lightning Network. Who knows? There's a lot of unknowns. We're still very, very early in the game. So if you're wondering if you're too late, you're definitely not, because we are somewhere down here at the moment. Other bits of Bitcoin news. Florida's governor, Mr. DeSantis, who I'm not really a huge fan of, but this one I do like. He says Florida should let businesses pay tax in crypto. Florida Governor Mr. Ron said the state is working on a plan to let businesses pay tax in cryptocurrency. I've told the state agencies to figure out ways, if a business wants to pay in crypto to Florida, we should be willing to accept that. We're working through that. And Florida is known to be kind of a friendly state when it comes to Bitcoin. We have Miami. The mayor of Miami takes his paycheck in Bitcoin. He's a big believer in it. So it's an interesting piece of news. Let's see what else. What else I got? Oh, we'd had a hack today. There was a piece of news that just came out today. Axie Infinity, which is a game, it's an online blockchain game. They have suffered a $625 million US exploit. So somebody figured out a way to go in there into Axie Infinity's Ronin network, which is something they built on DeFi, decentralized finance, and has stolen $625 million. The crazy thing is about it, this is the actual wallet right here. So again, you can see everything on the blockchain. But the crazy thing about it, this exploitation happened 6 days ago. So they didn't spot it until then. And you can actually look at the wallet here. There's a warning here. It says this address has been reported to be involved in a hack. Right? You see here it's got $602 million of Ethereum in it, which is crazy, and it hasn't moved. So this is all trackable, and I do believe they'll probably be able to figure out a way to get this back. But yeah, pretty huge breach. That's one of the problems with these companies, is sometimes their security is not quite on point. What else we got here? Oh, this was interesting. So Grayscale is a finance company in the US that has a Grayscale Bitcoin trust. It's kind of like a fund you can buy that owns Bitcoin, but they're trying to get a spot ETF, and they've been applying through the SEC in the US, and they're saying, well, they could sue the US SEC if the Bitcoin spot ETF is denied. I think they're a little annoyed that the SEC has accepted an ETF of futures on Bitcoin, which is way more riskier than a spot ETF. It's an exchange traded fund. And I think Grayscale are getting to the point where they're going to say, if you deny this one more time, because they have denied spot ETFs from Fidelity, some other big companies like that. They keep denying it for whatever reason. But Grayscale is saying there's a possibility that they could sue. There was a video of the CEO saying that it's possible. I like that picture of him. It's possible that he may sue if the SEC says, nope, we do not want a spot ETF, because the spot ETF is coming eventually. And you know, one of the things is you got to look at the SEC, right? The SEC is being run. She's the secretary right here. I don't know how old Janet Yellen is, but she's not a spring chicken. Somebody who's not a spring chicken making decisions about, you know, future investment vehicles that are very high on technology, which, if I were to make an assumption that she may not understand some of these ETFs and some of this technology that is behind the assets in the ETF, you know, maybe it's time to have somebody who's a little bit more happening, maybe a little bit younger, a little bit more into technology, making these types of decisions, because eventually the SEC will approve these ETFs. And I think Grayscale has decided to maybe draw a line in the sand and say, hey, enough's enough. We need to get this spot ETF holding actual physical Bitcoin that's tradable onto the markets, because that's what consumers want. They do. They want it. The demand exists. And once it goes into effect and it happens, it's going to really move the price of Bitcoin in a positive direction. Let's take one other quick look and see how the portfolio is doing. We're almost trying to creep over 1,700 and 17,400 pounds. Can't quite get there yet, but we've got another 45 minutes until the US markets close, so maybe you might see this pop over 17,400. But yeah, that's what I got for you today. Please hit that thumbs up if you're enjoying the stream, and if you like it, don't forget, come back on the Thursday, and then a week from Thursday, Stuart Law from Assets Capital. Going to get him on the stream. How long have we been going for? 50 minutes. Okay, we'll try to get out of here within an hour. See if you have any interesting comments. Paul News says Russia is saying they will accept Bitcoin for oil. Yeah, I would imagine they would. Yeah, and I think one of the reasons the oil prices have faltered yesterday was there was talk about the Chinese lockdown being the reason, but that's really just noise. I mean, short-term news that will knock on oil, but you know, maybe there's talks of some kind of a ceasefire or some peace going on. I don't think that this conflict is going to be over that quickly, and I think these oil prices will still continue to go up. Petrol prices jumped to £1.70 a litre when oil prices hit $1.40 a barrel. Yet when they dropped below 100, petrol prices didn't drop. Yep, I think you see that. Usually, I think this is a short-term, possibly a short-term drop. I mean, you've seen this oil price go up 10% in a day. So sometimes it's not unusual to see the petrol prices just staying high. Makes you wonder how Mr. T would have dealt with Russia. Who knows? Flex is gas shipping, so should be good with Biden upping the supply. Yeah, I read an interesting article too about how slow it is to move liquid natural gas around. From what I remember, there's only 29 shipping terminals. Either was it in Europe or globally, so they don't have a lot of capacity, and it takes a long time to unload the ships, like 120 hours just to get the liquid natural gas off of the ship. So we'll see. Enbridge might be interesting as the largest Canadian pipe company in Canada upping supply to Europe. Yeah, that's why I like the Canadian oil stocks. But we do have some Enbridge in another portfolio, not in the trading 212. I don't have a big position in it, but yes, Enbridge is definitely another stock to look at. After Luna buy all the BTC, they aim to have around the same as Michael Saylor from MicroStrategy, another Bitcoin proxy to look at if you're interested. Yeah, and I think MicroStrategy is actually, from what I remember, might be on sale. See how much the price is. Up, let's see, we're up. Yeah, I mean, we were a high of $860, so you're getting a pretty good discount on this stock right now. And also, if you calculate it out, probably a pretty good discount on what the actual price of Bitcoin is. So, MicroStrategy was down here at 319. That seemed like a good buy. How long ago was that? Wow, you could have picked it up in the 300s just a month ago. That's the thing, when everybody's scared to buy, not only stocks, but cryptocurrency, that's the time you can go in. Oh, look, we got over the 17,400 point. Oh, there we go, 17,411. Starting to move in the positive direction. But yeah, when everybody is afraid to buy, that's the time when you go in. That's a hard thing to do for a lot of people. They just, oops, let me close that. They don't have the stomach for it. So, yeah, I think MicroStrategy is a good stock. He's going to be buying more Bitcoin too. He just announced, I think, a $205 million lending line that he's sourced, and he's going to be using that to buy more Bitcoin. So he'll probably add another 200 or 150 million of Bitcoin to MicroStrategy's books. WEF don't like Bitcoin because they won't be able to control it. Totally agree. A big campaign movement launched by the Green Movement to get change to proof of stake. So it's firmly on the environmental agenda. You're talking about Bitcoin. Yeah, they're trying to get it to move to a proof of stake. ER to glue itself to Bitcoin mining containers. Oh, oh, that'd be interesting. Hi, Patty from France. How are you? Oh, why do I have that on there? That's weird. Do I think a ETF, Bitcoin spot ETF, will be approved? Absolutely, yeah. It's just a matter of time. Yeah, I think it's within the next 12 months you're going to see it. It's just inevitable. I mean, Yellen here is... Where is she? Where is Mrs. Yellen? Where are you? She was talking about crypto has grown by leaps and bounds and is now playing a significant role in the investment decisions of a lot of Americans. We would like to create a regulatory environment in which healthy innovation can continue. So yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of time that they're starting to wake up that they're not going to be able to get rid of this thing. I'm sure they'd like to, but that's not happening. So they'll just regulate it. they'll make sure that the tax can be collected, and they have a somewhat of a control over the money laundering. But yeah, 100% an ETF, spot ETF. It's already happened in Canada. I think it's happened in Germany. So yeah, I agree, Mike, with China. Anyway, what is it? 57 minutes. Let's get out of here. I think that's going to do it for this week. Hope you enjoyed the stream. I'll see you again on Thursday for some peer-to-peer lending shenanigans, and then April 7th. Put it on your calendar. Stuart Law, Assets Capital, live here on the stream. I think we're the only channel that does it. These live streams with the bosses and themselves. So please share it with everybody that you can. Your friends and family, and subscribe to the channel. Thanks to all the Patreon members out there. So much appreciate you for the support. It's amazing. And I hope you enjoyed the stream. Have a great night. We'll see you in a couple of days. Take care. Bye.